And for the next half hour, we are going to bring you live all the festivities surrounding this great milestone in Cleveland history, the opening of this incredible Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum.
The view that we have, the view behind us, we're on the northeast corner of North Coast Harbor, actually on one of the upper decks of the Mather. That's the old Great Lakes freighter that has now been turned into a, refurbished into a museum, a Great Lakes museum right here on the North Coast.
Yep.
Very impressive boat. William G. Mather, 100 years old, and frankly, definitely the mother of USS Cod and every other war implement of World War II made of steel. We got to believe the steel in Cod's hull and many other ships and weapons in World War II started out as iron ore in her belly. She is now part of the Cleveland lakefront and a very vital part of our marine heritage. She was opened as a museum ship in 1990 on the 9th Street Pier, which is approximately 1,000 feet east of this. She's now been moved to, I believe this is Pier 22. She's part of the Great Lakes Science Center. But what I want to talk about here for the Wandering Curator is the opening ceremonies of the Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. 1995, it definitely was a landmark day for Cleveland and a great turning point, because having this incredible world-class attraction just up the street from Cod certainly was a game changer for us. And in fact, today it's accounts for a large percentage of our visitation. But on opening day in 1995, Cleveland was the focus of the world's attention, and rightly so, and it was our time to shine. Sadly, there's a small sidebar. A tragedy occurred in relation to the opening night gala, and sadly I was witness to it. We had on the 9th Street Pier, they set up giant tents. They had elegant black tie, a ball there. There were luminaries and dignitaries from the music industry, local politicians, corporate bigwigs. Everybody who had helped fund and make this great attraction a reality were involved, including Yoko Ono, John Lennon's wife. She was there for the opening ceremony, and she brought a lot of memorabilia from John Lennon and the Beatles and donated it to their permanent collection. Anyway, we were told by the city to expect absolute mayhem, and understandably, there was a big parade. There were just 100,000 people in downtown Cleveland. We were warned, Cod, that is, and the William G. Mather, to expect gridlock, and in fact, we were told to, in essence, shelter in place. Be prepared to be stuck at your ships, or in our case, boats, Cod and Mather, their boats, for the duration. So we laid in food, we cooked out, we were sleeping aboard our sub. I know the Mather crew, I was a volunteer on the Mather as well. They have some really beautiful accommodations. So the crew of the Mather, they were sleeping aboard. They had a fully functional galley. They had everything that we had, or we had everything that they had, with the exception of showers. And I like to have a clean start to the day. So the director of the Mather was very nice. She said, well, look, come on over here in the morning, have a shower in our one of our showers, and that's not a problem. So the evening of the gala, so it was the day of the Rock Hall opening, I and two of the Cod crew, we came over. I wanted to show them where they would go to get their showers in the morning. And so we're going through, and there's all kinds of bigwigs and dignitaries. And, you know, frankly, I have to be honest, my head was on a swivel because I'm checking out, see who I might recognize. Well, anyway, as we were approaching the Mather, I spotted Yoko Ono and Jan Wenner, publisher of Rolling Stone magazine, walking hand in hand, side by side, toward me. And I said, you know, hello, Yoko, hello, Mr. Wenner. I thank you for your donation of the John Lennon artifact. She said, oh, well, you know, you're welcome. You know, it's the wonderful contribution I could make, and I'm grateful to be able to do that. And, you know, what else do you say to Yoko Ono? And at that moment, as I was just about saying, well, you know, again, enjoy your stay in Cleveland, I noticed behind her something dropped from the deck of the William G. Mather. Well, I didn't know what that was. So the three of us continued over here toward the main entrance. And as I got close to here, the doors fly open. It, you know, took maybe as long as time takes for me to tell you this. The doors fly open, and an older guy comes running out down the ramp, drops to his knees right here, arms spread out, and starts singing Ave Maria. That's pretty weird. And right behind him are 2 or 3 busboys. They came running out, they ripped their jackets off, and they jump in the water right here. So although this is a pier, one pier over, it's analogous to the 9th Street Pier. They're jumping into, in essence, 4 feet of open water. It wasn't even open water, it was full of logs and garbage and debris. And I'm just absolutely flabbergasted. What kind of a surreal event am I witnessing? And then, of course, more people come running out, including the maintenance director of the William G. Mather, and he said the most chilling thing I've ever heard. Somebody fell off the deck and is underwater. The man who was singing Ave Maria was a well-known doctor who also was in fashion. He had his own couture line. And the man who fell was his life partner, a very famous world-class AIDS researcher, Dr. Carey. Now, the Mather was literally right beside the main tent where the gala was occurring, and there were trailers and ambulances and first responder trucks galore. Basically everybody waiting and watching and seeing what's going on, kind of watching the hoopla. But anyway, he said to me, help me get all the deck edge lighting on, we have to find him. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. And apparently what had happened was they were told to shut down because they couldn't allow people because of traffic and security. So they did have a private party. They rented the boat out to Dr. Carey and his friends. They had a private party on deck. And I have to say, I wasn't there for the actual dinner and afterward the drinking, but let's just say alcohol flowed freely. They were pretty drunk. And you can see the railing up there. It's been improved since that accident, but trust me, on the day of that accident, it was pretty substantial. There's a foot of solid steel, and then there was a wire about a foot above that, and then a top wire. So frankly, there was no way you were going to casually fall against it and fall over. But what happened, as I was told by eyewitnesses there, they too had seen Yoko Ono and Jen Wenner walking past on the dock, and apparently the one doctor wanted to know what she was wearing, what designer was she wearing that night, and Dr. Carey, perhaps with a louder voice like mine, leaned out and was yelling, Yoko, Yoko, who are you wearing? And he's so far out, he lost his balance. There was more of him over the wire than on the other side, and he flipped over. Now he's grabbing on the wire, and the people who saw this happen said he either fell against the side of the steel plating and was knocked unconscious momentarily, or because he was an avid swimmer and diver, he thought perhaps he could just drop into the water. But regardless of what the cause was, he dropped, he hit his head in the edge of the dock, suffering a severe head injury, and was underwater for more than 20 minutes. I went up on deck and was helping the staff turn on the deck edge lights on both sides in the hopes that if he came out on the other side, we would see him in the water. The diving unit and fire department, the first responders, were literally right here. They immediately suited up. They completed suiting up. They were walking around half suited. They got in the water within a few minutes. I went aft to talk to the director of the Mather and basically try to calm her down because nobody wants this to happen on their facilities. They did recover him. They restored a pulse, rushed him to a level 1 trauma center. But according to the people present, they said, you know, he might have a pulse, but he has suffered severe brain damage from not having oxygen for more than 20 minutes. And sadly, within an hour of arriving at the hospital, he was pronounced dead. So it was a really a terrible tragedy. I know it affected the Mather crew very badly. Nobody wants that to happen on their ship. And it certainly was a mar to an otherwise wonderful gala and highlight of Cleveland.
Well, there was a terrible tragedy in the midst of all the festivities surrounding the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last night.
A prominent Cleveland physician who was a nationally recognized leader in the field of infectious diseases lost his life when he actually accidentally fell off the Mather.
Sadly, the community kind of focused some negative attention on the Mather as if somehow the Mather was responsible for that. And I know it took many years for that to kind of wash away. But it is a little bit of Cod, Mather, Rock Hall history that, you know, we don't like remembering but shouldn't be forgotten. And certainly brought home the fact that water and alcohol don't mix. So anyway, we love the Mather. It's 100 years old. And I would say the lighting conditions 30 years ago were identical to what they are now. You know, enough to see that shadow. Sadly, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to Dr. Carey. Again, incredible world-class AIDS researcher lost way too soon. So that's our memory.